Welcome. Not a scientific research, but I do know that today, 1 out of every 6 marriage cracks up and dissolves within the first 2 years. Interesting, I thought, but that's just talking to 6 girlfriends who got married at the same time. By the time they found each other again, 4 of them, well, what's my statistics? However, it's dire statistics that shows that marriages just don't last that long anymore. So the conversations today are around marriage in the 21st century. I crack my fingers. As it's where I have Omoye, I have Saudat, I have Dion, I have Anne, and I have Ifoma, all here today to give you the conversation from different perspectives. Here, we have married, we have single, we have divorced in this group. That's the color of our conversations today. We'll be right back, girls, right?
Yeah. Yep, we will be.
We'll be back. Yes, the ladies are ready to treat that issue of marriage in the 21st century. And I'm very quickly, while I welcome you back, I'm going to start, I'm not sure, you see these 2 ladies here? They tell me that they always end up sitting at the back because they'll be small girls. But it's just by default. I don't know how it's happened we're sitting like this. I suppose it's the colors, right? You like the colors, right? It's the colors. So it's happening like this. Maybe they think I like Saudat and Dion.
No, actually, there's something about these seats that just makes you feel, you know,
very... So we defer to our seniors.
Yes. Please, I'm not your senior. Anyway, but I find it interesting. You're married. Let me see. I go around now. You've been married since 2003.
Yes.
You've been married. No, you were married from 95 to 2009.
I'm single.
She's in the mountain.
No, okay. Are you single and searching or single and not searching?
I'm single and open to possibilities.
You took the word
open to great possibilities.
Okay, before they misinterpret, right? She's single and, you know, living her life.
Yes, yeah, I guess. Whether it's another person's life or you're living in Sha.
Okay, and you were married to 2014. Okay, and then my sister. Why are we on this side? We're the oldest married couple. You've been married since 1983, and now I'm 88.
Before I was born.
But okay, I should start with you then. You are the person who's done this for the longest. When you see marriages today...
34 years. 34 years.
Long time.
Long time.
How does one stay married for 34 years?
With great tolerance. But truthfully, I think the key to a successful marriage, I think, is to marry a friend, your friend. A lot of the time we think it's about that love. I'm in love. All that is great for a while. But it's loving a person in spite of the things you don't like.
Oh.
Yes, because you see, you can't like everything about everybody. So you marry a person who is your friend, and then the things, and when you get to know a person, you can forgive them certain things. And also, I think that you have to decide on what it is you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept, and don't compromise on it. For example, for me, I just thought, anybody who beats me, I'm not going to stay. Because I just thought, no, that's not going to happen. So, and anybody who is mean, I'm not going to stay.
What do you mean by mean?
I mean somebody who's tight-fisted.
The money's going to talk.
Yes. Did you have a checklist?
I didn't know I had a checklist. It just so happens that I was reflecting after marriage, and I just thought, okay, what are the things that I really value in my husband? He lets me be. If I want to be the president of Nigeria, he'll say, can you hack it? And if I say,
he's
I
very
can,
happy to be first husband.
No, he may not be first husband, but he'll support me to get there. He may say, I'm just not going to be available all the time. But if that's what you want, then go for it.
So marriage is compromise, but don't compromise on the most important things. What happened with you? She says one thing she's sure of is that I would never have stayed with somebody that hits me. I know you stayed with somebody that hit you for years.
I didn't think about it because I'm a daddy's girl.
Yeah.
So my dad never beat me. I never let anyone beat me. So it didn't occur to me that my spouse would. I just never thought about it. And I didn't see him hit anyone when we were courting. Some people say,
he didn't
you must
even
have
raise
seen
his
something.
voice with you.
Not even a man.
How many years did you cut?
7 years. And I used to make shakara. If we had an argument, I would just go away. Then he would have to beg me. That's it. So my courtship was quite
nice, hot
baby
hands,
thing. So I didn't think, it didn't occur to me. So the day of the first slap, I think I was in shock more than anything else.
First slap?
Yes, that, you know, and I didn't wake up for 14 years. from that.
So you had 14 years of slapping.
Yes, it was, and I was already a Christian, so I did my duty, quote unquote.
Yes.
But we'll talk about that later. It was, God hates divorce. That was what I knew then, and I did my duty for 14 years.
Well, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim. And the belief is that in Islam, it's accepted to have as many as 4 wives. But your husband is married to just you, and you have 2 daughters.
Well, everybody says that it's accepted to marry. There are conditions in the Quran that tells you when to marry and if you can marry. You have to be able to treat them well. And it even goes to tell you that you will not even be able to treat them equally.
Oh, really?
So it's better for you to marry one.
No, what do they quote Muhammad?
It's there, is in the quote. But it says that because you will not be able to treat them equally, it is better for you to marry one. But you see, we're not the only Muslims in the world. But Nigerians are the only Muslims that will quote that part and say, I want to marry 4 wives. Culturally, in Nigeria, a lot of people marry more than 4 wives, and they are not Muslims. But it is only the Muslims that have excuses, that have the Quran as, hey, this is why I'm marrying it. But so many Christians or non-Muslims have more than 1 wife. What part of whichever holy book are they quoting?
So for you, her marriage has done...
we are 14. We're 14 in October.
Okay,
Yeah.
we are 14. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're 14 in October. For me, when I didn't have a checklist.
October 2017, yes. I'm sorry.
Yes, October 2017. I didn't have a checklist. I just wanted to be happy. What was on my list was, I can remember I used to tell my husband, he asked me this
Before
question.
he became your husband or after?
After he became my husband, he asked me all the time. He'd go like, why did you marry me? You know, always, guys just want to have all
He's tall, that can handsome, I know.
Yes, he's tall, that can handsome. They always want to hear that. And I go like, look, it wasn't for love. Love wasn't the first thing. Because love for me is too frivolous for me to stay on.
Okay, it's at this point I must define love. I don't know whether love is lost. That's what that is, giri on the body.
I had it in a different way. I wanted something more tangible because I know that love...
What was that tangible thing?
For me, there were so many things. Religion was very important. His blood group was very important. I'm AS. I wanted to date someone. Then I wanted someone that, you see, for me, because I have ideas. I'm not fully organized like that. I wanted someone to just accept me, and he did. So when we dated for more than
when you were
a year...
dating, you can change. Look at her. He didn't slap her.
Well, I guess maybe grace.
So there's luck inside too.
I don't want to call it luck. I call it grace because God has been so good to me. Because my husband just understands how this thing is packaged.
Okay, this one is a young girl. She has not seen much. You've only seen 3 years.
And a half.
Yes.
The half should count for something. The half should count for something. Well, when people talk about marry your friend, for me, it sounds a bit cliche or vague, maybe because I've only been married for a short period of time. Because I feel like I'm more of my husband's friend now than I was when I got married to him.
That's the point.
Yes, I actually said to him that the challenges that we've had that I thought would break us, or I thought would, I think it actually made us more open. I used to think that we were talking, but I realize now that we're not talking about the things that we should have been talking about.
Example.
If that makes any sense. Okay.
I want a boy and a girl. Or I want 4 kids.
I had that from my husband. When I heard his name is Chukuma. So I thought he was Igbo. And then I realized that he was...
Hear me.
I realized that he was Kwale. But then I used to say, Igbo people, I don't know if I will have boy. So let's talk now. If boy is a priority, let me know. And he could not understand what I was talking about. Like, whoever talked to him, I'm like, my parents split when I was 2. So I don't want...
Oh, your parents divorced?
Yes. So my parents they split when I was 2. So I entered marriage. In fact, marriage used to scare me. The honest truth is that marriage used to really scare me. Not because of the person, but because of the concept of marriage.
Because you realized that if you went you didn't want to go in and go out.
I just didn't want to go in and go out. I didn't want to be stuck there.
Kwamboye is that why you're still searching?
I think, so I was engaged, I've never said this publicly, I was engaged and I broke up at 26.
Lounge.
Yes. So when I was 26, after the introduction...
They actually came to ask for your hand in marriage.
They did, and we had the mini introduction in my parents' house in Port Harcourt, and we had the family introduction in Benin.
That's bigger, man.
Yes, and I couldn't do it.
Why?
I just couldn't. I couldn't explain it.
How many changed your mind?
I just
What
couldn't.
did you see?
So initially it was because I wanted to do other things. No, it wasn't because of that. I wanted, in the period when I went to discover myself, that period when I went to discover myself.
What do you mean discover? You moved
I wanted
from
to do things that were, it seemed like I had gone to school, I had graduated, and now I was going to get married. And my father would always say, you know, I don't care what you do. All I know is that you're going to go to your husband's house and it's his business. So I wanted a period where I wasn't under anybody's authority.
Oh, right. I totally get that because I could have got married earlier, but I just thought I'm not going from my father's house without working to marry anybody.
That's it.
But I'm going to work for a while, determine for myself how I wanted to be and whether this was really what I wanted to get into. So I get that.
But the thing though is when he asked me to marry him, I cried. I cried. I could see it coming. I was agitated. I didn't know what it was, but then I realized you knew this was coming. And I didn't have the heart to say no.
So you're being nice by saying
I just said,
yes.
okay, let's just say yes, and then if things change, it's going to be like, So when time came, it was getting closer to it. I just realized I couldn't do it. And then we had that family meeting. It was the most heartbreaking thing I've ever experienced. But every time I said, okay, this is hurting too many people, let me say yes, I couldn't. I would have a pang, almost like a
So I appreciate that. Point is doing what you have to do when you have to do it. But I must take a break so that when we come back, I'm not sure now if it's the best time to take a break. Somebody wants to add something to it, right?
Yes. I was just going to say to her that it's better to have a broken engagement.
Yes, that's
marriage. Even if it's the day of church. I know there was a couple that the girl decided she did, the morning of the wedding, she couldn't do it, and she disappeared. But they got married 2 years after she'd gotten to know her partner a bit better. Yes, but she just couldn't do it on that day, so she just took off.
After the break, I'll talk about my thoughts on marriage.
Your thoughts? I think that's where we should. Let me take a break. I'll take a break, and then I'll return to what our thoughts are. These are our own experiences with marriage.
Yes.
What are our thoughts on marriage and marriage today? We'll be right back. Yes, welcome back. But I think it's time for me to take a glass of water. And these ladies are tasking me. We're going to try and make this in 30 minutes, but the truth is, I want different perspectives. I'll start with you, Saudat. What is your perspective on marriage? What are your thoughts? Quickly, 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Or one.
For me, I think friendship. Friendship, like Ifeoma said, is something that holds my marriage. Because I think it comes a time when the butterflies line up and you start seeing things. Maybe this one is pressing toothpaste here, and he's
leaving the toilet seat up.
For me, in my marriage, I can remember when we got married earlier on, I lived in Surulere, where there were hardly any thieves. You could walk from the gate into my bedroom and nobody would stop you. And my husband was coming from an area where they had a lot of thieves in the area, and he didn't.
What's that area?
He didn't want the
Is it Moshi?
No, it's not.
Is it Oshodi?
He grew up in Ketu. All right? So he would come home and the curtains were drawn. And I felt claustrophobic. So we used to go on and on about it. No, I do not want these curtains drawn. I'm like, I want the curtains drawn. You know, can you imagine the tiniest thing? So one day I just called him. I said, you know what? When you come back home and the curtains are opened and you want them drawn, draw it. I don't want to fight about the curtains. They're just, life is just too sweet to fight about curtains. But later on, I just realized that his background is because we never lived together, we never did all that. So all that came out when we got married and we're living together.
So there must be some level of patience in that case,
Patience
where, for
is
example,
everything.
you allow certain things to happen. Were you impatient, Dion?
No. Mutual respect is very important to me.
Okay.
But I was very young, so I didn't know how to fight for it. And especially once abuse starts, you watch yourself as if you were a third person most of the time. And you're saying to yourself, fight back. But you're not able to, you know. So you just stand there. So there's an alter you that lives through that. And you're saying to yourself, do something about it, do something, but you can't. You're almost powerless. Now, if we had learned to just enjoy our differences, we would have done better. Because you had statements like, you think you're better than me. And I used to say, no, we're just different. But towards the end of the marriage, when I knew it was really over, was, you know, after we weren't working together, we worked together and everything, and we stopped working together. He actually fired me. So I was working, I was working elsewhere. And one day he said to me, you're not going to go to work. And I said, why? He said, because I didn't marry you for a career, I married you to serve me. That I did that because I'm actually a workaholic. I'm restless.
Wait, could that have been a way of
so he
saying
didn't
that he
tell
didn't want you
me
anymore?
But yes,
Because he knew the kind of person that you
exactly.
are.
So I just felt he doesn't really need me in his life any longer because I can't be caged.
So how does that encapsulate for you? So marriage for you is what?
Mutual respect for each other.
Okay.
Yes.
I think start as you mean to go on. That's one thing that was very important to me. I can't pretend to like being in the kitchen from morning till night if I don't. You know, I can't pretend to like making beds if I don't. So if I don't, I don't. I will do the things I don't like, but it is clear that I don't like them.
How about doing
and
this?
that I'm doing them because they are something that I feel maybe that I should do, or I'm happy to do because of the person I'm doing them for.
Yes.
Exactly.
But see, my attitude is, so let me be, this is who I am. Is, for example, I can't say I'm not going to work when I know I like going to work. So if you're a man who doesn't want his wife to work, it won't be me you're marrying.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to not work because you say so.
That's hoping that you've made it clear to him that you're that kind of person.
But you see, but it comes out. If you listen to people, you know. I remember working in an office where, what was it that happened? And then the men made a comment and I just thought, oh, that's the kind of man you are. I wouldn't marry you. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So we make comments that come from within us, and they may be so innocuous, but anybody who is listening knows,
So what are you most afraid of? Let me ask this one is just...
Yes,
Because when you hear things like this, for example, mutual respect, you know, letting people be who they
really are,
and then not hiding anything.
My husband would say that one of my favorite words before we got married was, I don't want to be stifled. I don't want to feel stuck or stranded. And he always said, why do you always have those words? And I say, because I don't want to ever feel like, oh, you're coming home and there's something, it's like I need to rush and do. I don't want to ever feel like I'm looking out of my window and I'm thinking, oh my God, that person is lucky because their husband lets them be them. Yes. I don't want to look out of my window or look back in life and think that, oh my God, maybe if I had put pressure on this, I would have been able to achieve this. I don't want to be seeing other people living my dreams.
So for you, marriages?
So letting me be my person, respect is very important because respect is the reason why you wouldn't do a lot of things.
What scares you most? Because what made you not go on with it? And do you regret now, like, oh, for say I know, I for do on that time?
I think it's one of the best decisions I ever made, not getting married earlier. And I always say you have no business getting married before you're 30. Because then you have, this is me, just my opinion, you have a better sense of who you are and what you want to do with your life. I now understand who I am, and I have learned these things in those years. So my biggest fear is not getting it right. That's my biggest fear. My parents have been married for over 42 years, and they haven't had the most perfect of marriages I have seen firsthand. But what has kept my parents right now are like gumbodies. They literally cannot do without each other, especially my dad. And what I realized is they were able, is forgiveness. That lesson for me, their entire marriage and that life has taught me that you should be able, you will enjoy it later. It might be difficult, and I'm not saying that, you know, if they start to hit you, I believe that if you beat me, I'll beat you back. Oh, yes.
Did you ever react to
even now, I'm not, if I can't stand on the streets and go, you're stupid, you're foolish, I don't know how to.
So if someone hits you, it's not a natural thing for you to...
No.
Okay, you know what? I know that at some point in time, we're all going to have challenges in marriage, right? Whatever relationship, forget whether it's marriage or not. But I wonder, though, how did people deal with it in the past? That now they're not dealing with it right and there are more divorces. And I think I'm going to start with the oldest.
I think that they tolerated the kind of things that we wouldn't take now. And they felt that it was the thing. And then even if you said, I can't cope with it anymore, your family would rally around. You want to shame your father. You want to shame the family. You have to stay. People don't leave for the children. And one of the things I said, it's so funny because I don't know why it crossed my mind. I said to myself, even if I was married, that I wouldn't stay for my children. That if my marriage was unhappy, I wasn't going to stay. Because you see, you get old, you have one life. And the other thing I said to myself was that resentment, don't allow resentment to grow. So if you can't talk about it and nothing can be done about it, maybe you shouldn't be together. I think it's just that people recognize now that you owe it to yourself to live the fullest life you can live. And that your husband is your partner or your wife is your partner in that journey, just like you're his partner.
Staying for children is wrong.
Yes.
Okay,
I have
but
to
okay,
say that.
what they hear is people stayed for children in the past.
Yes.
They have been one of the reasons, but also maybe people stayed for economic reasons.
Yes.
Well,
maybe
yes,
that's
actually,
true.
yes,
You know,
They
has-
still do.
Maybe that's
They still
what
do.
Women
That
these
is true.
days in Lagos, if you see, like, okay, let me give you an instance of my church. If you see the young women, they seem to be doing very well, and it seems like there are not as many guys to the women that are doing as well. So if I'm going to work the same way you're going to work, and I'm achieving, I have the money, it's easier now to say, you know what, if it's not working, I can go and rent a house there.
No, but is that making,
those
is that
days, you
making young girls more disrespectful, though? I just wonder, because
A lot of women, a lot of us witnessed what our mothers went through,
and you swore never to.
how their life stopped because of the sacrifices they made for their husbands. A number of the men went on to
I can see
cheat.
men cringing.
A number of the men went on to cheat after the woman stopped her life because
say
of
it
him.
again.
And when everything was okay, he had a new wife somewhere. So they look at that and they go like, I remember when I married my husband, one of the conversations we had, I was like, look, this marriage, I am going to be happy. I said it deliberately. Yes. I am going to be happy. And my husband knows, he said, I don't like trouble. I'm going. You see, my happiness is selfishness. I have to be happy. So I don't make a fuss about anything, and he knows.
So what would make you happy?
Just leave me alone to my thing. And he understands it. He understands my psyche. So he accepts me.
He understands your
He
madness.
understands me, and we're friends, we laugh, we joke and stuff like that. So he's unassuming. So he allows me to blossom and do whatever I want to do without saying, oh, Sauda, you can't do that. Oh, Sauda, your business is doing this. No, he's going to support me 110.
Yeah.
And I support him 110. So
That's fairy tale.
it is fairy tale, and I love it because God has been so good. It is fairy tale, but we have our issues. But the thing is, you have to trash it out. Things got easier when we had kids. Why? Because I now saw that some things were not deliberate. Because some attitude, I saw it in the kids. So this is how coming at you. This is how you are.
It's in the blood.
So I now accept it. I go like, can you see yourself?
So
for me, that is good.
If the past was you could, you stayed because of one reason or the other, why didn't you stay? Didn't you have people tell you, hey, in fact, I was one of that, so I go back until one day I said, listen, if it's not, maybe you guys are not really married after all, because marriage is between man, woman.
On the contrary,
not even God.
I didn't leave.
Oh, okay.
I was thrown out. Everybody always assumes that when you talk about an abusive marriage that you left.
That's
I
why you
didn't have the
understand.
courage to leave. Exactly. But I prayed that he would drive me every day because I was drinking heavily and I was living on Lexotan just to get 4 hours sleep. So I wanted him to drive me. So I became bland. I had no expression. My eyes were dead. I was a robot. I was just sit down, stand up, go right, go left. So that's not exciting to any man. So when he just got fed up, he said, get out of my house. And I didn't want to go back.
Call you some nasty names.
Yes.